Hello, welcome. So, my Mac people out there, I've been hearing from you. Yes, the new version of the macOS, Catalina, is wonderful. It has a lot of great things in it, but it is presenting some problems for those 32-bit apps that you have been using. In particular, I'm hearing most from the folks who have been using Aperture and or iPhotos, and I'm here for you. So we're going to talk tonight about your best options for photo editing and photo management, often called DAM, but we'll talk about that in a second, and some other just general tips as far as moving to Catalina. So let me get the show started. Hang on. Hello and welcome. So, my Mac folks out there are very loyal to the Mac OS, and I feel ya. I get that. You guys like your stuff, and there's nothing wrong with that. Whatever tool works best for you, I always say, is the tool that you should be using. By the way, for those of you who are new here, my name is Kathleen. I'm here as your tech coach. Short version is I do technology as my day gig. It's also my hobby. So people come to me with their questions, and I come here and share that information with you folks. So if you have a question, feel free to ask. I have all the chats open. All right, so Catalina has been coming for a while, right? And now people have either installed it or started to install it, and some things are bubbling up. Now, to be fair, this is not really a surprise, okay? Apple did a good job of letting everybody know that things like the 32-bit apps that you've been using for a while were not going to be working anymore. But maybe you missed the message, maybe you didn't think they were going to follow through with it, whatever the reason, a lot of people are starting to panic because things that they're used to using, like Office 2011, the Adobe apps like Photoshop and Illustrator, if you are still on a 32-bit app version, okay, and there's 32-bit and there's 64. 64-bit are the new ones, but lots of people are still using the older versions. And there's a lot of reasons why those are different, but really all you need to know is you need to do your check before you do the upgrade or while you're doing the upgrade, because the upgrade process on the Mac will warn you which apps are not going to be viable going forward. Now, maybe you blew past this and you've already done the install. You can go in and you can do a system information check. There's an app on there that will do that for you, and it will let you know if anything comes up under legacy software. Those are the things that are going to be a problem. The ones that I'm hearing the most about right now are the photo apps, because a lot of people rely on those for their income, right? It's their day gig, it's their hobby, their whatever, it's bringing money in for them. And this is a big deal. Why is my keyboard not working? Keyboard, work. There we go. So I understand that. So that's what we're going to focus on. We'll touch on some of the other stuff later. The other thing about it is, so a lot of people were using Aperture, right? Aperture was a very popular piece of software. Now, the thing is, Aperture has actually not been updated for a long time. Now, this just goes to show that, like, you don't need to run out and get every new version every time, because, frankly, I'm just showing the date. So June of 2014 was the last time there was an update to the Aperture program on the Mac. So if you've been using it, you've been using it without an update for all that time, which there's nothing wrong with, right? It was a viable piece of software. My point is just that you don't need to always run and get the update. So you've been using it for many years now without any updates and been perfectly happy with it. Aperture, most people are using it because it serves two purposes, right? It works for photo editing and it also works for photo management. So let's just take a second here and talk about this for a second, okay? Because I keep seeing and I keep hearing from people lots of references to it being a digital asset manager. So far as photos are digital these days, that is truth. But if you are the problem is that there's really not a good replacement right now for a single solution on the Mac. I'll just say, if you were on the PC, you'd have more options. But we'll push that aside for now. My point in bringing this up is, if you go searching online for a replacement digital asset manager, you're going to get inundated with all of these very expensive apps. And here's the problem. Most of them are overkill for what we need, right? As small businesses, as solo entrepreneurs, this is the important thing to keep in mind. What you need is not really a digital asset manager, because that tends to be like brand managers. You know, it's generally for like enterprise companies, you know, enterprise software kind of companies. What you're really looking for is a photography manager or a photo manager. That will give you all those pieces of maybe some basic editing, tags, metadata, the ability to share, like, you know, if you're going to, like, let's say you're doing photography and, like, I'll use an example, okay? Somebody I know who takes photography, takes photos of automobiles and then sells them to the people that own the autos so that they can promote their cars. We're talking, like, you know, hyped up, really cool, fancy looking cars. And then, you know, so you take a ton of photos, you go in, you pick out the good ones, you edit them, and then you want to share them with that person. Usually, you know, the tool that you're using gives you some way to share like a subset of them so they can take a look and decide which ones they want to buy. And also like things like watermarking, did I say already, metadata, that kind of thing. That's what you really are generally looking for as far as managing software. So you don't need a full digital asset manager, a DAM, okay? Really what you need is a PM, a photo manager. So I will give you some options for that. Floyd, you made a live. That's great. I'm so glad to see you. Of course, I'm having all kinds of problems with the comments over on Facebook. But here, let's try that again. Let's sometimes after I go live, if I say, let's do this again, it'll work. And then in an unusual state of affairs, YouTube comments are not going to come over today, but I am monitoring them. Evidently, there's a problem with the API tonight. Because, you know, that's life. And Ace, I see you in all the places, including Mixer, so good to see you there. Okay, so I just want to get that out of the way. So the problem that you're dealing with basically in Catalina is what they call legacy software, which is really any of your 32-bit apps, okay? And I realize that that's sort of a uber techie term. So what you want to do is you want to go into, if you've already loaded Catalina, or while you're doing the upgrade, hey, should I call you Stacy or Tig Girl? I don't know which to tell you. Good to see you. If they are, if you think you're maybe using something old, you can run a software check there, and it will tell you anything that comes up listed as legacy software will be a problem. To be honest, you have probably been seeing notifications for the past few months, at least over the year. Every so often, the Mac operating system has probably been giving you little warnings that this application was going to be a problem going forward. But again, when you're busy and you're trying to get things done, if you're like me, you just blow past those and don't pay any attention. So let me see. It looks like this is working. Let's see if it really is. Hey, it's working. All right, so Facebook is working. Facebook comments are working tonight. Not so much YouTube. This is life, right? Live, you never know what's going to blow up on you. But thank you for coming, Floyd, and Stacy Tig Girl. I don't know which one to call you here. And of course, John is there too. So let's just jump right in and talk about what your options are. And the good news is that you do have some options. What you're going to end up dealing with is you're going to probably end up with a two-step solution, right? You're going to need a photo editor, right? And some sort of management system. So let's talk about the photo editing, because the solution I have for you there is one that makes me all kinds of happy. And if you have been around here before, you may have heard of this before. It's awesome. So we're going to talk about it again. The company is called Serif. The application is called Affinity Photo. Now they actually have, as you'll see here at the top, right? They've got Photo, they have Designer, they have Publisher. They're always coming out with new stuff. Rumor is they're actually working on a digital asset manager or photo manager that will be out next year. So just keep that in mind as we go forward. But as far as kick-ass photo editing tools that are completely scalable, so not overwhelming, right? If you're just looking for like your basics, right? And you're looking for maybe some prepackaged kind of solutions, you know, click on these things, see if you like it and save it, all the way up to professional, okay? It does all the things that you want it to do. That is why I recommend Affinity Photo without any reservation. The other nice thing is, we can just jump down here. Affinity Photo, sorry, knocking things off the desk. Affinity Photo is available for Windows, for the Mac, and for the iPad. So let's hear the cheering now. All right, let me make the cookies go away here. So just to cover the basics, all right, so it is available obviously for the Mac. It works all the way back to Mavericks and all the way up to Catalina, so you are covered across the board there. And you know, it's your basic your basic Mac is going to be able to run this. I've never heard of any Mac that has not been able to run this successfully, so you are covered on that score. Let's continue to go down. We'll skip over the Windows. iPad, right? iPad is very popular for editing photos, and it's actually a nice way to do it because you've got the stylus, it's more intuitive, and it works with that too, so again, a huge win. Let's go down here and talk about the details. So, the number one reason why I love this and why I recommend it, in addition to the fact that it just rocks, is this. Okay, so it is, I'm going to even take me away for a minute here. There's no subscription. Okay, and it offers a free trial, and you don't have to upgrade if you don't want to. So they do release upgrades on a regular basis. Some of them are free. Some of them, there's a small upgrade charge, but they don't hassle you about it. They don't give you a hard time. They make it available for you. If you want to use it, that's great. If not, your software continues to work. Unlike certain other vendors who will go nameless at the moment, who force you to do a subscription, and if you don't keep your subscription up, you lose your software. That is a terrible model. We all go through cash flow times that are a challenge. We all have periods where maybe we can't afford that extra monthly fee. And this way, at least, you can go ahead and keep doing your job and fix your cash flow problem without having an issue. Okay? Oh, good. So Stacy says I can call you Take Care too. Okay, good. That makes it easier on my brain because that way I can keep track of everything. So yeah, so this is software that I have been using since the beta, and I wholeheartedly recommend. Tig Girl says, I'm impressed with software. Oh, you've tried it. Cool. You're a lifelong Adobe user. By the time I would dive in, I have it for the iPod, and it's great. I'm so glad. Thank you. See, this way, see, it's not just me saying this. It's just always helpful. So thank you, Tig. I appreciate that. It is absolutely what you need, and not something that you need to be intimidated by, right? Because it's the kind of thing you can grow into. And wait till I tell you the price. I mean, that just wins it for me. But anyway, no subscription, free to try. That is the core of why I'm recommending this, because you can download it. It works with Catalina. You can give it a test drive and see how you like it. And if you do, then you can buy it. And they are constantly updating this thing. They are dedicated to turning out the best possible tools they possibly can. And they have not once disappointed me. And I will tell you, okay, so I'm in software development, so I'm really hard on things. And so the fact that these people have rocked it every single time for me means that I trust them and I recommend them freely. Comes in a bunch of different languages. It's super fast. They keep improving the processing time. They're making more use of what's available on the GPU, which is the graphic card in your system. The idea being that the more work they can offload to the graphic card, the easier it is on your system, which makes everything run faster, which is all kinds of awesome. It has the filterings. It has all the tools that you would expect. It does the raw processing. It's real-time editing. You can also do non-destructive editing if that is your thing. It is for me. I like to keep my originals. It also works with, ta-da, the Adobe platform. So it works with the files that maybe you've created previously on Adobe Tools, or maybe you're getting from your client or from somebody you're working on a project with. So it can do the intake, and it can also output Adobe friendly files. So you're golden there. You don't have to worry about any issues there. They have plugins, they have brushes. It also works with a lot of the Photoshop brushes, and I'll show you a list of that later. But it is just, it's all kinds of awesome, okay? Undo 8,000 history steps. That's a pretty good number for most of us. So I mean, you can go through and you can see all this, all these details, but it is fully functional without being overwhelming. Wait a minute, sorry, I jumped all the way up here. Where's the raw stuff? Because I know a lot of people are into the raw stuff. So you can see it's got all of the raw functionality that you're looking for. You're all good there. The lens correction stuff is there. I mean, I'm not going to read all this to you. You can go and visit affinity.serif.com and check it yourself. I will put these links in the various locations so that you can find them. Non-destructive image stitching. I mean, really, there's nothing that anybody I've recommended it to or that I've used it for myself that they haven't been able to do in here. So and we're all pretty demanding of our software. So that hopefully tells you what you need to know there. Retouch, crop and straighten. I mean, it's got what you need is the point here. Let me just see if there's anything else I wanted to highlight here. So it's got the brush tools. It's got its own plugins. You can use third-party ones. Now, the third-party ones, they say most work. And they're constantly working to increase that. There is a chance that maybe one of yours wouldn't, but you can check around online and people will let you know that. And just keep an eye on their site. And if you report stuff to them, if you're having a problem with something, they will, if they get enough requests for something, then they will add it to their to-do list. So that's another win. They are very responsive to their audience. They have a very active audience, and they also have a forum where you can go and talk to other users, which is handy, and the people who are programming it keep an eye on the forums, and they interact a lot too. So, yeah, compatibility, okay, the PSDs, DNGs, PNG, TIFF, GIF, all the stuff you would expect, okay, including RAW, like I said, HDR. You can do your color matching in it, blah, blah, blah. I mean, this is just, it's a win, okay? So let me get to the other good part. Because this, you see, we're only halfway down the page. There's a lot of details here. Does it really? I'll look real quick. I'll see if there's anything else. Workspaces, stock imagery. I mean, that's all. Layers, non-destructive editing, built-in effects. Let's see. So John says that 90% of the brushes that work with Adobe work with Affinity. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm not promising anybody 100%, but most of them do. Every once in a while, I'll hear from somebody about someone that either is really old or super customized that maybe doesn't, but for the most part, people aren't having problems. So yeah, so you can read through all this kind of stuff. Let's look at the really awesome part of this. $50. The software is $50. You get all of this for $50, okay? So this is something that as a small business, as a solo entrepreneur, as a hobbyist, this is a more than reasonable price, especially for the functionality that you get. And as you can see, they're having a deal right now on the iPad version where you can get it for $10. How awesome is that? And if you keep an eye out, like, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm not saying it will happen because I don't have any insider knowledge, but I have seen previously that around Black Friday, they run sales. So, something to keep in mind. So, it is awesome. It is reliable. It has been around for a while. It has been tested and proven by people who do this for a living. And I recommend this to people without reservation. This, to me, is a completely viable solution. And the fact that it works across Windows and Mac is just a huge win for me. So there's that. Now, Tig-Girl also said she's using it on her iPad and she's into it and she's happy. So there you go. You're not just hearing it from me, you're hearing it from somebody else. And so this will cover the editing that you used to do in Aperture or iPhoto that you can no longer do. Now, let's talk about, well, actually, while I'm on a break here, let me just remind you that the best shows like this one come from people asking questions, right? So if you have a question, if you have a topic you want me to cover on a show, just reach out, go to yourtechcoach.net. There's a contact form there. Let me know what your question is. If you have, a topic you want me to dive in on or explain, don't be shy, reach out. That's what I'm here for. That's what we're all here for. We all share information. Okay, see, this is why I love my people. Excellent question, Floyd. Love you. So, $50. Is it monthly? No, it is not a subscription. That is a one-time price. $50 is one-time price for this software. Let me just get this. Nope, not that one. I want that one to stay. All right, that one can go. Yes, so this is a one-time price. The next cost that you might potentially have is if they do another big update, then there would be maybe a small update charge. To date, I haven't had to pay one, and I've been using the software for quite a while, many versions. But at some point, they need to pay the bills too. So at some point, they'll have a big version upgrade, and they'll, they upgrade some small monetary amount. But when your software starts at $50, it's not like the upgrade's going to cost you $1,000, right? It's going to cost you, what, $20 usually, something like that. Here we go. So one time, which makes my heart sing. Because like I said, this is, we're small businesses, right? Whether you're working as a solo or you're a hobbyist or you're a small business trying to do this kind of stuff, cash flow is a problem. Some point in the year, we all struggle. And to lose access to our tools is not acceptable. And so that's why the subscription model is not something I will ever recommend. So this is one time $50, and then you can decide whether or not you want to upgrade. They have not ever pushed or locked anybody out of the software because they didn't upgrade, because that's not how they work. So you're all good that way. But thank you for asking that. That's an excellent question, Floyd. Thank you, thank you. Let me just jump around here too and just double check. Okay, we're good. Alrighty. So let's keep going, right? So I did my URL. Okay, so let me go ahead. So let's talk about the digital asset management thing again. So I know that that's a big reason why a lot of people loved Aperture, right? Because in Aperture, and I think iPhoto too, again, I'm not a Mac user. I should have said that up front. I have used them in the past. I'm just not in a place where I'm going to keep buying two different types of software and two different types of hardware when I'm perfectly happy in my Windows world. But that's me, not you. But I know a lot of people use Aperture because, you can do your file management in there. You can work with your metadata. I think you could even build like slideshows and stuff and do some sharing from it. So yes, absolutely. That is not what the photo editors are going to do for you. But, there are options. Now, the option that, of course, most people are talking about, because it is probably the most well-known, is Lightroom. Lightroom means getting in bed with Adobe, and we all know how I feel about that. That said, Lightroom is a good tool. It does all of the asset management that you're going to need. It does the metadata and the sharing, and it even does some, basic, like file editing too. Like you can edit your photos to a certain degree. You don't have the fully functional capabilities that you would get with a real photo editor, but as far as management goes, it's there, it's fine, it's an option. When people start to search online for the DAMs, right, the AM digital asset managers, you start running into things that are pricey and frankly more than you need, because these are targeted at bigger businesses, right, who are looking to do complete brand management. So these are two that I found that at least offer a free option. But they're limited. Okay, so like this one talks about credits. And what the credits really means is how much storage space you get. Okay, so they're pretty limited, but it's free. But the question is, do you really want to get into a subscription situation? My guess is not. I know I wouldn't want to. So there's this one, and then there's this other. So that's a Cloudinary, and then there's Frontify, which gives you a little bit more storage for free, but then very quickly you scale up. These are options. You can certainly look at them. They do offer, what you're looking for as far as, file management. But there are other options out there. So let's talk about Digicam. Now, the fabulous thing about this is it's free. And it is Mac friendly. And it does give you some basic functionality as far as editing. But its main, features are the management of large collections, doing your metadata, all that kind of stuff. So that is certainly a way to go. It's Digicam, digikam.org. It is open source. It is free. It has a very active community. So you can definitely go and get some help. And it's been around for a while. It's not a flash in the pan. They didn't just come to life yesterday because of what's going on with Adobe. This is a company that's been around and doing this kind of stuff for a while. I have not used this myself, but I talked to some of my Mac people, and they said, yes, that, this is something that they have used, and it's okay to go ahead and recommend it. So you've got that. Another one to look at is Milo. So it's mylio.com. This is also something that you can get for free. I think that then there are, let's take a look. Okay, so 3 devices, 25,000 photos, some limited editing. And then it goes into a monthly. Again, I'm not a fan of subscription, but if you want to go there, at least it's not super painful. Okay, so like the basic one is $8.33 a month, and that's 100,000 photos. And then the max is $21 a month. It's $20.83, and it's unlimited. So if you are looking for something to do this kind of stuff, these are options. But I do want to point out that there's another option. And another option is just to come up with a good file organization structure, right? Come up with naming conventions for your files, folder name conventions, You can organize your photos that way. You can, with the camera software, a lot of times you can put in like the tags and the metadata stuff and the watermark, that kind of thing, in that kind of software. So you don't necessarily have to buy something. I know that you're used to it, but there is an option of just not going this way, and just doing it yourself, right? Doing it on your local drive, backing that up to an external hard drive that you disconnect, right? Because you'll want to have a disconnected backup, not a connected one, because we've talked about the malware thing. That's another conversation for another night. But you want a disconnected one, you could back it up to the cloud, for example. You could put it, into Google Drive or whatever, which leads me to another option that you have, which is Google Photos. Google Photos is a viable option. Now, again, there's a certain amount of free that you get, and then there is, of course, a subscription thing. But the prices are not too bad. They're, in line with what we're seeing in Milo here. But it makes it more available. And if you're just using it like as a backup for your backup, maybe you would only put the ones that you've edited out there, maybe not put all of your library out there. There's different ways to do this that will give you that security and that shareability and that searchability, which, by the way, the Google Photos search is phenomenal, because it actually will search like the content in the photos. It's amazing. If you haven't played with it, just load a couple pictures up and just try it, because it's way cool. But it does at least give you some different options, right? So there's different ways to do this for free. There's different ways to do this for free in an app, outside of an app, or there are at least some reasonably priced photo managers that will give you that functionality that you're used to having. I'm just throwing that out there because when you start searching for the digital asset managers, you're going to fall over when you see the prices. Basically, the rule of thumb is when you go to a site and they don't list the prices and they say, contact us for a free demo, we can't afford it, because right away they're talking thousands of dollars. So if they don't list the prices, it's too painful, move on. So I just want to throw that out there. The other warning I just want to give you about the digital asset managers comes from real world. So I had another friend who was big into photography, had been using a tool for a long time, doesn't matter who, but he had everything in that he had no other backups. And the company went out of business, they stopped supporting it, and so he needed to get the stuff out of it, and guess what? There was no way to pull his stuff out of there to use it someplace else. There was no export that would work. He'd never noticed it before because he never went looking for it. So I'm just putting it out there. If you are going to put your stuff into a service, a tool, whatever, make sure and do a test, make sure you can get your stuff out again, because basically he was hosed, right? He didn't have anything else. All that stuff is locked up there forever. He's got to keep an old laptop around for when he needs to go back and find that kind of stuff. There has been a lot of wailing and gnashing of teeth over this whole thing, because this is his profession, right? This is how he's making money, and it's a problem. It's a big problem. So please do your due diligence. Don't just jump into the first thing you see. Dig around. Make sure that if you're going to put your stuff into something, that you can get it back out again. That, for me, is the big win of doing it into Google Photos, Google Drive, or your own online file management system with an offline backup. Also do a cloud backup just for safety's sake, because that will be in your OS file structure system. It will be something that is always accessible to you. Make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. All right, so let me just check in here, see if there's any other questions. That was what I have for you. I just wanted to let you know that there are options out there. These options do not have to cost you a fortune. If you are going to move into one of these, if you go to the Apple site, they have at least put very good instructions out there about how to move out the files from Aperture and iPhoto so that they're available to something else. Oh, I did promise you, I wanted to show you the thing about the brushes. Let me do that one sec. Switch over here. So, where did I put that list? Seriously, I had it here. Here it is. Okay. And this is a point of contention, but Affinity is very focused on keeping their software up to date, so they haven't been putting out a list of brushes because it's an endless list that they're compatible with, but other people have been doing it. So if you do a search for Affinity, brush compatibility, this person's done a very nice list of it, so you can go through and see that it's an extensive list. And like I said, if you go into their forum, they do a good job of putting it all out there too. But yeah, it goes on and on and on. Now, I will say that this has not been updated for the new version, but the new version only just came out. So the new version of Affinity is 1.7, and it's fairly newish. Come on, there we go. So I'm sure he'll update it in that time. So let me just make sure I've gone through all of my notes here. Okay, so I'll just give you the quick run through. When you are looking to get your files out of Affinity, you're going to go File, Open, and then Media, Photos, and then there's an export in there. So that will get your stuff out. I think that has everything. I think we've covered it all. Let me just double check. You could go, if you don't trust me and Tig Girl, there's all kinds of reviews out there so that you can go and check on Affinity. You will see lots and lots of good information because they're pretty awesome. And you might want to check into their other tools. Hey Rudy, how you doing? Yeah, so this is what we're talking about. It's Affinity Photo, $50 one time, and it gives you all of the functionality that you would expect, and works on Windows, on Mac, and on the iPad. So don't panic. You've got options. You may end up splitting your workflow between two different things, one for the asset management, one for the editing, but you know what, it's not the end of the world. And for $50 for the editing and free, if you choose to use one of the free options for the management, you are good to go. All right, everybody, that is what I have for you. Thank you so much. I am here every Thursday, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. I bring a different topic every week to help my fellow small businesses, solo entrepreneurs, and even hobbyists out there. If you have an idea, if you have a question, if you have something that you want me to cover on the show, you can reach out, yourtechcoach.net. There's a contact form. Only thing I ask is if you are in an emergency situation and you need a fast answer, let me know that and let me know how to get back in touch with you, and I'll respond, email, DM, whatever it is you prefer to use. Otherwise, it'll become a show topic and you will see it here. Okay. Also, if you want to hang out and talk about this more, around 10 o'clock, I will be over on Twitch, which is twitch.tv/yourtechcoach, and we can continue the conversation there. All righty. Thank you all so much. I hope you're having a great day. I hope everybody's warm and toasty. It's getting cold here. And we will talk again soon. Thank you so much. Bye.